Hey guys, it's Kusi. I welcome you to the now 5th episode of me trying to figure out why I wanted to play healer in the first place. In the last episode we figured out that Tyr was a club security once and refused to let us pass, met the paladin with arguably the lowest amount of faith in, well, anything, and we managed to achieve Keystone Master even though it's only the wish version from it. Whilst in this episode we... Oh man, I'm so done with this shit. Kick for f***'s sakes! I will cry in my sleep tonight. DPS just doesn't kick. I will cry in my sleep tonight. Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. Too much damage, no healing. They don't kick so the tank stops breathing. Why are you standing over there, you so f***ing wank of a f***ing asswipe? Man, just stand in the puddle for f***'s sakes. Yeah, this is going to be a rough one. Alright, so before we start this fever dream of a video, we need to set the stage here. It's currently 10:30 PM on a Tuesday, which is the day before reset, and I wanted to get the last 3 dungeons done that I was still missing. Roll of Tides, Murozonds and Atal'Dazar. Only 3 dungeons, what can go wrong, am I right? Also, we will open the vault later on, so stay tuned for that. Our first key in this video will be a 14th Throne of Tides. Quick reminder, we still got Tyrannical, Incorporeal and Spiteful to deal with. Now, while playing this key, I remembered a comment from one of you that said, worst setup for Provoker is triple range DPS. And even though this only had 2 range DPS here, this will come to haunt my dreams for sure. So besides our tank dropping dead on the pack while probably not having proper cooldowns up, we got to the first boss without any problems. Now, on this one, because of the ongoing AoE during Tempest, sticking a bit closer to the party would be nice. Granted, I'm well aware that most people don't know that Evoker's range is a bit butthurt, and I don't blame them. I didn't know either before I started playing it. Though this is only a 14, so I should be able to manage this even with bad positioning. No excuses. Yet on the boss, we had a tank drop dead, while doing 15k HPS, in fact less than the Shadow Priest, so I won't take the blame for that. But the CR sure took a minute. I'm not sure if we had cooldown cause we used it before I think, but we probably would have managed it without the tank to be honest. Over 3 minutes later we killed the boss. 3 damn minutes. I told the druid that on this one the cell field needs to be a bit higher, otherwise this will be a rough one. Now besides me figuring out how to deal with the knockback the best way possible, I also had to look over the tank every time he had the crushing claw on him, cause that thing slaps like crazy. And as you can guess, this became insanely sloppy at the end. Puddles everywhere, and I don't even want to talk about positioning. Yet don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that I played as good and the others aren't. Just giving you my thoughts on what happened here. Now, due to some weird miracle, we didn't wipe on either one of the bosses, even though the tank died on both. So we make our way towards the third. On this one we need to make sure to keep the ones with Flame Shock alive, pretty much dispel every second cast, and then also watch over the tank once the totem spawns. Cause the damage taken in this window will be much higher. Oh yeah, there is also that. That's on me, chief. Then I also let the priest die to Flame Shock even though I had the spell up. Dispelled him last second though, but he didn't dodge the fear cast, so he dropped. I apologized for my misplay though. I used my cooldowns very wrong, cause I never felt to trust the Guardian self-heal. Sorry for that. Yet the gauntlet went surprisingly good. Until we decided to do this. Going into double swell with over 10 stacks and I had no cooldowns ready. 2 of us dropped, but at least that's pretty much the worst it could be. Until our respawning players decided to bring in about 15 little sack nibblers to make my life even worse. Now comes the last boss though. A boss where not playing the mechanic will wipe you. And boy did we play the cleansing bad. Like bad. But not only that, the placement of them puddles was so horrendous, it quickly turned into a reoccurring theme. Now in order to keep this video in a limited time frame, I will only mention the deaths that led to a wipe. Second pull, the mage didn't play the cleansing at all and the tank died off screen. No idea what happened there. Third pull, puddles didn't get cleared again and then our tank stepped too far away from the boss to trigger his fat damage. Granted, because of the first problem, there wasn't much room. Fourth pull, even though I hardly survived my own mistake, the tank died again to pretty much no mechanic besides the ads. We used the CR though, but that didn't work either. Fifth pull, I overlapped with the other 2 puddle debuffs, took too much damage and fainted. Sixth pull, we again shed over the entire place with puddles, thus the tank had no space and outranged the boss to die again. On the 7th attempt, we finally did it. After 58 minutes, we managed to get it done. Not only was I already drenched in sweat and, well, tears after the first damn dungeon, this was also pretty much useless when we talk about score. But the gang stayed in it, and I guess that's also a W, right? Also, how about you hit the like button and make sure to subscribe so you won't miss an upload. I feel like that's only fair in exchange for the suffering I endure for your entertainment. Oh Kussi, you're just bitching, it was only one run, calm down. Oh yeah? Let me introduce you to this Atal'Dazar 13, which started off like this. We overpulled the left side so hard that we couldn't manage to kill anything. They constantly had one bubble up that blocks every attempt to kick or CC. That was horrible. We also managed to add the next pack upstairs for some damn unholy reason. Coming out of that 60-minute throne key, I was crying so much, my downstairs neighbor thought I got a pipe leaking. Eventually, 8 deaths later, we fully wiped this, and like little pathetic bitches, we stepped away from the pole to go to do Razan.
Psych!
We do those little ones first. Why? I don't know. And then we did the boss. First fear, 2 people got hit. First pursuit, the lock gated away like a gamer and then just stood still. The rogue also got munched on. Man, I was defeated. Now we continue to Volcal. The trash was manageable, but if you think the boss went smooth, you gotta be kidding me. Of course did we mess up the timing on the totems multiple times, until the boss got his stench cast through on 3 secs. Whoever came up with this, oh it's not about how often you get knocked down, it's about how often you stand back up bullshit, can suck a fat one. Fortunately for the spirit of the party and my own sanity, on the 2nd attempt we finished the boss. Oh, but now you're fine. That boss is free. Oh yeah? Well, let's look at this. As most of you know, the only important mechanic on this boss is to soak one of the blood puddles before transfusion happens. This is important because if you play it right, you pretty much only have to play 25% of the boss's HP and she just kills herself with 3 transfusions. Apparently, half of our party didn't know. First transfusion, our lock and mage didn't take the debuff. Second transfusion, the same 2 didn't take the debuff. Third, the warlock didn't care again. On the 4th transfusion, instead of just taking the blood debuff to kill the boss, 3 of us didn't take it, so the boss healed up to 40% again. Still, over 4 minutes for the final boss to time this, and I'm so disgusted by that. What the hell is this timer? But boy did this go wrong. Between everyone just standing anywhere, ads going through, puddles all over the place and me running into spiders, everything happened. But DKs can survive this by themselves. Granted, it is a non-timed key, but 53 rating, so at least that wasn't for nothing. We also got a cool trinket, doesn't seem to be good if I'm honest, but here we are. Not sure if we use this one. Now at this point we are almost doing dungeons for 2 hours and we still didn't time anything. Time to change that. We go back into the wet hellscape that is Throne of Tides, on plus 60 this time, because I stopped to give any shits about anyone 3 hours before the server resets. Redemption arc inbound. First boss went a lot smoother than before, even though we also have 2 ranges in this one. I'm pretty sure this is also the first DK ever that went for their mind control ability on the incorporeals. Now on the second boss, things started to get rocky about halfway through. Because of the knockback, we added those 3 mobs we left on our way to the first boss. And boy, this became a shit show real quick, to a point where I completely blacked out and just pressed buttons in order to at least do something. Rather soon, this left only me and the tank alive, and thank god this tank was a menace. This boss took over 4 minutes and our tank only had one thing to say. No wipe, all that matters I guess. Coming up to the third boss, I was not at all worried about our tank. I knew I only have to focus on healing the flame shock and occasionally drop a quick external on the tank for good measure. Even tried to troll the tank in the end by grabbing him to somewhere else on the fear cast. I had the spell ready, so nothing would have happened if he get feared there. Was the first time today I felt a bit of joy, so leave me alone. Now the gauntlet again went fine till the very end. Last set of swirls with 10 plus stacks was just too much for me to deal with. But just like second boss, no one important died here. Yet now comes the last boss and boy howdy was I scared. And rightfully so. Even though we played this very clean, pun intended, all of a sudden we lost 2 people. So for the last 2% the tank and I were the only survivors again. Actually managed to clutch this up, not only in time, but also our very first plus 16 in time in this series. 101 score, man, I'm so done. So all I want to do now is Murozonds. But because of the time of day and the lack of Murozonds keys available, this took a minute. 15 minutes later we finally got invited and I was eager to do this quickly. So we cleared the entire first room, no problem. Pulled tier, no problem. Our hunter disconnected for real. So we had to finish the fight with only 4 people, but it worked out. However, after that, our tank said that we will not time this as a 4-man party, even though our rogue tried to convince him. The druid stayed true to his belief and then just dipped the key. I felt really bad for this rogue, cause he was waiting for ages for a tank to apply, so I told him that I will tank this one for him. Locked over on our boy Pawn Order for a quick kitty cameo and we just railed this key pretty quickly. Not a 3-chester, but I knew exactly who to blame. He had a good answer though. So this still leaves me with the Murozonds left on the evoker, and even though we have less than 90 minutes to go to a reset, I still applied. If this doesn't show my dedication to this series, then I don't know what else you want from me. I kept applying and shortly after found myself in a group with a very careful tank, and not only 2 ranged DPS, but 3 this time. We cleared the trash towards tier a bit slowly, but again, the timer makes it happen. So we pull tier, and let's check where everyone is standing.
Look at this dude.
I asked him to come closer. I probably should have mentioned that from the beginning, but I feel like a lot of DPS gamers are just 110% focused on their rotation these days. But I was at the point where I learned to let go. And that's what I did. I let go of the mage. Yet even though I told them to come to the boss about 4 times mid-pull, this was still the positioning. This led to the entire middle area being covered in golden stuff and to us wiping since we couldn't soak the orbs. I yet again explained to them, very calmly I might add, well as a German, to stay close to the boss, as to the edge, and they listened on pull. And even after the first intermission, they were ready to play the game proper, baiting the cone towards the outside. I was so ready to jerk a tier when we finally killed the boss. And at least I was still him when it came to the racing minigame. The trash afterwards was no biggie, so we stepped up to the time lost battlefield. Key focus here, focus archer, kick caster. And even though the sit gets spicy, it was not that bad. Now more Chido. We had all DPS flop over either in the breath or by running into a trap. Only the tank and I standing gotta be a theme for this video for sure. Now because of the Shaman's reincarn and the CR that didn't get accepted, we managed to finish this without a vibe in the end. Yet with less than 90 seconds for the last boss, this obviously wasn't going to be a happy end. We survived phase 1, but once phase 2 started, 2 of us believed the swirlies on the ground were just clickbait, meaning they did the same dirt nap as I did on probably the first episode of the Pharaoh series. So again, we 3-manned this boss to the very end. I also apologize for being bitchy over the course of the run, cause even though I've been through some stuff this evening, that wasn't their fault, so I felt a bit bad. With this, we end our second week of Mythic Plus with 1926 rating and a solid vault with 3 hero items in it. So, let's see what we got. Oh no, that's the wrong weapon.